Let's just kind of start off with the big idea behind your new book, Stress Nation. What led you to focus so intensely on cortisol, and why now?
It's a great question, and thank you for having me, Jeff. I really appreciate being on your podcast. I'm a big fan. Really, the book is the reason why behind the company Rebalance Health. And I thought it was really important to explain what has happened in the past 30 years that has caused everyone's cortisol levels to go crazy. And the book, Stress Nation, really focuses on kind of this fun narrative around what it was like growing up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, right? And how that has morphed in the last 30 years. The analogy that I like to use is real simple. It's all based on technology, the iPhone, right? This device that we now have hooked to us. It's almost embedded in us, right? It's one of multiple screens, right? We're now talking through technology on screens right now, right? We are addicted to screens, and there's nothing we can do about it because it's the way the world works. The book focuses on really how that has taken over and hijacked our health. And it's a call out. It's not blame. It's just a call out that Silicon Valley has done amazingly well in developing technologies and platforms and products to support the efficiency of life. But they haven't actually looked at how that impacts the human body and the human being. And companies are rewarded for gamifying everything. And we are now addicted to all these aspects. And that isn't how it used to be. Go back just 30 years, we didn't have these screens embedded to our bodies, basically, 24/7, right? And I reflect back when I was a kid. I grew up in London, moved to America. My family moved here when I was very young, and I kind of split my life between California and London. And I remember coming from England, where we had 4 TV channels, over to the United States, where we had literally like 80 or so channels. But at the time, it was the set-top box. And cartoons were on first thing in the morning, right? And we used to watch those cartoons for an hour or so, and then it was off, and then we went to go about our day. We played outside. I mean, you've seen all the social media fun kind of processes and kind of video that go out talking about we drank from the water faucet, right? we literally played with traffic. We won our BMX bikes and tried to kill ourselves going over jumps and stuff. And when the streetlights came on, we knew it was time to come home. Our parents didn't worry about us in that same manner that they do today. And really, from a parent's perspective, there wasn't a news channel, there was a news hour, there was a news alert. There was very, very little content that required us to be in front of screens all the time. Even if I was a naughty teenager and I wanted to stay up late and watch television, at midnight, the national anthem came on, the wonderful flag was flying, and then it went to snow. Right? You couldn't, right? You wanted to watch a movie? What did you do? You went to the video store and you tried to find a video of something that was on the shelves and that you could actually, you picked up the cover and there may be 2 or 3 copies behind it. If you were lucky, it was there and you got to watch a video for that evening or that weekend. It wasn't 24/7 streaming content. And that's really the basis of the book, is that life has evolved because of technology. And the consequence from a human perspective is quite simple. We're now on high alert. Our cortisol levels are always in an elevated state. And that elevated state has really 2 big consequences. Number 1, it's hard to fall asleep quickly because you're already on, right? Your brain is on. Number 2, because it's on, if you are able to fall asleep, you most certainly can't stay asleep and you wake up. And why is that the most important point? Real simple. You make all your hormones in your sleep. And your body's the most efficient and makes the optimum amount of hormones when you get 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. That's it. That's the whole aha moment, right? It's simple. If you wake up, your body doesn't make the optimum amount of hormones that you need for your body. For your body. Very important. Your hormone ratios are as unique as your thumbprint. And so your body knows what to make if you allow it to. And so everything that's happened in the past 30 years has gotten in the way of falling asleep quickly and staying asleep so that you can be your best self the next day. And that's what the book talks us through, is how we've become a stress nation.
So reminding me so much of my childhood.
I know, isn't it fun?
And I'm sure I'm a little bit older than you, but yeah, I think I even lived in that period of time where we didn't even have VHS tapes. If you wanted to watch a movie, you went to the theater when it appeared, and of course the theater was like $1 back then, which was nice.
Right.
And you could get double features on Saturdays. But yeah, I mean, I remember even when HBO and cable started coming out, it was a box top on top of the TV, and you only had like about 20 buttons.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden it's like we don't even. Most of us aren't even subscribing to cable anymore. It's all streaming, and so it's everything immediately on demand, and we get upset if we want everything now.
Exactly,
and it's no wonder
that
we're messed
instant
up.
gratification is getting in the way, right?
Yeah. So you talk about the hormones that are made during sleep, but you really refer to cortisol as the master hormone, and so for those who are a little bit unfamiliar, hopefully people aren't so unfamiliar, but those who are unfamiliar, what exactly is cortisol and why is it so foundational to our health?
Yeah, it's a great question. Cortisol is the body's alarm clock, really. It's the alarm mechanism that goes off when something isn't right. If you go back in history, it's, there was a fire, there was a saber-toothed tiger attack, you're going to get mugged. Something happens and instantly this cortisol rises, right? It's not adrenaline. Cortisol is the body's alarm wake-up call, and adrenaline is the one that kicks us into action to do what we need to do. So cortisol is just something that is commonly referred to as the stress hormone. And it's been given all kinds of wacky names over the past few years, and people are calling, things like cortisol face. And, they're taking serious disease, I call it dis-ease, but disease symptoms for like Cushing's, where you do get a puffy face, right? And they're kind of making that an everyday term, which is, I feel, a little unfortunate, because people are really suffering with major diseases, and all of a sudden everyone's waking up from having too much, sodium or sugar the night before, and they wake up puffy, and now they have cortisol face. This is not the case, okay? It just isn't. Cortisol is what I'm just enamored with it, because almost every molecule in the human body has a cortisol receptor. No other hormone functions that way. So literally, when cortisol is elevated, it affects the entire body from head to toe system. And that controls the ability for your body to make other hormones in an indirect way. And the indirect way is through sleep. If your cortisol is elevated all the time, it turns off your metabolism, because it's an alarm system. When you're running for your life, you don't need your metabolism, right? You want to retain as much energy and food sources as you can, so it shuts down metabolism, shuts down libido. You certainly don't need libido when you're running from a saber-toothed tiger, right? And so cortisol is a really, really interesting hormone from the way that it supports the entire body. But because of technology, and because we're always getting notifications and alerts, and every time that thing beeps and dings, it triggers, is that good news or is that bad news? And that keeps us in this elevated state of high cortisol, which then really, really impacts sleep. And, I've listened to so many of your episodes, and everyone's got an opinion. But at the end of the day, if you can't sleep, you're in trouble.
Right.
And sleep is the original biohack, from my opinion. You need to protect your sleep. And even more so as we get older, because if cortisol is nice and low, you can fall asleep, stay asleep, and you can make the hormones. And then a lot of the symptoms that the world suffers from today tend to go away. And people talk about, I'm gaining weight, I can't keep muscle mass. If you're perpetually in a high level of stress, high levels of cortisol, and you can't sleep, no wonder you can't sleep and you feel not so great. And that's kind of a logical process. But at the end of the day, cortisol is a master hormone, because if it's high, it's going to stop you from making the other hormones that you need to function at your optimum levels.
I like the idea of calling it the master hormone. I mean, we've so long called it the stress hormone, and it's a bit of a misnomer, because it is much more of a regulatory hormone.
Absolutely.
And I've really been stressing to my students that it is a regulatory hormone, but we want to control it. We want it to be high when it's supposed to be high, low when it's not supposed to be high, and keep it consistent. It's this pattern up and down, not up, down, up, down, up, down all the time, or up all the time. And so I love, the concept of your book and really what you're pushing and your passion for cortisol. I mean, it shows when you're talking about it. I mean, your energy just rises, and it's this very positive energy about it. But what led you to really become interested in cortisol wasn't necessarily a positive thing.